Greetings, my name is Brendan. I play in a band called Super Nudist, sing, I write, and I play the guitar as well. When I write a song, I generally like to do up a quick demo so I can send it to the other band members so they can get an understanding of what I'm hearing in my head and how I'd like the song to go, essentially. So the video today, I'm showing you how I record a demo and what equipment I use and what software I use. So I'm assuming you've already got a laptop or a PC or whatever. The next thing you need is a USB audio interface. The one I have here is a Yamaha Audiogram 6. I bought it a few years ago and it cost me about $200. I think now, if you look around, you probably could get it for $100. So you want one of these bad boys. As you can see, just plugs in through a USB cable straight into your computer. And this one has 2 microphone inputs, a couple of line inputs. You can also plug in your instruments straight there. So this is handy to have, and it also has phantom power. So for things like a condenser mic or stuff like that, this thing, I've had it for years now and it hasn't failed me, so you'll need one of those. Once you have your interface sorted, you'll need some equipment like the relative cables, XLR cables, instrument cables. You'll need a microphone if you want to do some singing or if you want to mic up an amp. However, I just plugged my guitar straight into the audio interface and I use some of the virtual instruments and plugins in the software. And that brings us to our next point. What software do you record on? The software I use is Cubase Elements 9.5. The reason why is because it was only 150 bucks. There's no recurring fee on that. It's just 150 bucks flat out. And you can layer multiple tracks and it's got a whole bunch of functionality in there just for what I need. So let's get into it. Once you have everything plugged in, fire up Cubase and click on Create Empty. Then find a home for your files to live. Then you land on a blank canvas. This is where you'll be recording. If you don't see this panel here that I'm moving around, click on F2. And the first thing we want to do is lay down a guide guitar, or at least the guitar of how you hear things. And this is what I do. This is so I can find a tempo that I'm happy with, play the song all the way through, then I program the drums on top of that. So go ahead, create a audio track, right click on this part here, add audio track, mono, put guide, because it's a guide guitar. Click monitor so you can hear the sound back of the effects and everything of the guitar. And then when you hit play, you'll hear a metronome. But if you don't hear it, it's probably not activated. So click on this button here, activate metronome, or press C on the keyboard. So let's go ahead, press play and have a strum along. Make sure we can hear the guitar. Make sure it's a good level. And we'll hit play to see how the timing of the speed of the song goes. You want to play a bit more than just an intro or a verse. You want to play the chorus as well, so you get a feel for the whole song at that one tempo. So let's do that again. Alrighty, so by default, Cubase sets the metronome at 120 BPM, and for the song that we're doing and for the sake of this demo, 120 BPM will be just fine. So the next thing to do is, if you know your parts and the structure of the song, then the next thing to do is press record. If you want an 8-beat count in before the recording actually starts, you press this button here to activate the count in. So when you hit record, it won't record anything until after those 8 counts. So we're going to record a verse and a chorus to keep this quick and simple. After you record a bit of a take, make sure you save, call it whatever, demo, and then that is the first track essentially recorded to your demo. If you don't see a waveform there, and you're a bit worried that the sound didn't come through, so for whatever reason on mine it's not showing the waveform, untick monitor so you can hear it back. You can hear that the guitar is there. What I do is click audio up in the menu, processes, and then click normalize. Then that'll bring things up to a louder sound. So there we have it. That's first track done. Congratulations. The next thing to do, what I like to do is lay down the drums, and let's get straight into that. So in Cubase, they have what they call virtual instruments, but I'm just going to go ahead and assume you know a little bit about that. Press F11 on the keyboard, brings up the VST instruments panel. Hit this bad boy, add track instrument on the top left. Add in, by default, Cubase Elements will already have this in, Groove Agent. Click Add Track, and now with this Groove Agent module, you can purchase drum kit sounds. So I've purchased an indie rock kit and something else. I think it was cinematic drum sounds, but they have sounds already by default, which will definitely get you by for just a demo. So next thing you want to do is click on this kit here, right click, load kit, and then you're presented with all the different drum kit names and everything, and they'll give you, you know, what library it comes out of. I believe they're the ones I've purchased up on top. But let's just, what's one that we can use? If you have comp kit, let's go with that. Sounds nice and dirty. So essentially we just need ride cymbal, kick, snare, maybe a crash, and we've got all these. So load your comp kit, close that down, then close that down. Then what you want to do is you want to load up a drum map. It's got the built-in GM drum map. Feel free to rename the track drums. We'll just do it all in one go there. What we want to do is click on here, draw. Yeah, draw 2 bars worth. Double click on it, maximize it up here. If you want to get rid of that, press F2. Now, you'll see the tracks here that we have access to record. So, kick, snare, and we want a hi-hat, which is there. So let's do all of those, and you can loop the first 2 bars, so we can work on getting the drum part right. There's a little pencil thing up here, drag that across, click that there, and then when you hit play, spacebar, it'll loop that over. But seeing that that chord progression goes over 4 bars, let's just drag that out to here. Alright, so that's where we want the loop to finish, because that'll be 1 whole round. Drag that out to there. If you need to zoom out, just wait for the move tool to come up here on the timeline, click and drag up or down to zoom in or out, which may come in handy or be a pain in the ass. Click on the drumstick tool, and then you pretty much already know that if you want the drums coming straight away, just mark where you want the kick to go, where you want the snare to go, and where you want the hi-hats to go. And let's just keep it really basic for the sake of the demo. So let's go from the top. And you can copy and paste some grooves. So if you're happy with those 2 bars there and you want the same to happen, select all, Control C, get to the bar where you want to paste it, Control V, and that should sync that up. So now we have 4 bars of a drum groove, minus the hi-hats, which we'll just add in right now. That's the floor tom, is the hi-hat. And we'll go ahead and copy and paste these like we did with the other ones, or you can press Ctrl D, which duplicates it. Just make sure you move these along to be synced up in time. And that's it. And you can change the velocity on things like the hi-hat hit, so it doesn't sound like that one thing all the time. If you want to do that, you just select whatever ones you want to be a bit softer. For example, select all, come here, you can bring that down. You can see the little velocity bar there. You might be able to hear it, but let's play it back anyway. So that's sounding pretty good just for a basis of a drum groove. Close all this down. Control save, Control S. And now when you're happy with your drum loop, I guess you could call it, you can select that, Control D, 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 D for the length of the song. And you can either leave that guide there, or you can go ahead and duplicate or re-record a couple of the guitars, pan one left, pan one right, which I'll do now. And we'll just edit in a few drum crashes, maybe a fill as well, just to give it a bit more authenticity. I'll do that, and then we'll continue on with the bass guitar. Okay, so I've gone ahead and put in 2 guitar tracks, called it Clean Guitar 1 or Clean Guitar L, and that one is panned left, Clean Guitar R, which is panned to the right. And I've just kept the guide there, but I've muted that, so because I don't want to hear that. So if we hit play, hit spacebar. So you can hear that all the parts are there. If you want to turn up or down the guitars, you obviously have your fader. You got the volume here, up or down, or you can use the fader up or down there. Reset that back to 0. If you want to mix both of the guitars at the same time in terms of the volume, just create a group channel track, stereo because it's left and right. We'll call this guitars just for now. So that's its own track, and you can apply effects to that and sends and all the rest of it. But what we're going to do is we're going to send these 2 clean guitars to this group channel. So instead of stereo out, click on that and click on groups, click on that one, right guitar, groups, guitar. Now both guitars will be feeding into here. Hit spacebar to start playing. When you solo the track, press S. You can hear that it's both guitars, and you can see they're soloed there. So if you think they're too loud, get the fader happening and start all the way down, get everything off solid, and just bring it up until you think they're sitting nicely within the mix. Okay, so we'll leave it at that. And now let's focus on the bass guitar. Traditionally, if you were going to be playing bass yourself, you would actually probably record that first instead of the guitar tracks. But we're programming the bass guitar today. So we're going to hit F11 again. We're going to create, we'll use one of the built-in synths, Halion Sonic SE, just to get the tracks there. And I mean, it's the built-in synth here for Cubase. So we'll use that. However, there is a plugin that I have purchased. It's about $150 if I remember correctly, and that is called ABP, and I can't remember the name of the company, but I'll put the link in the description. So let's just go into Halion, and it'll bring up a keyboard sort of interface. you load the sound in. So click on this arrow here, then click on bass, and look, the bass guitars aren't the greatest in this pack, but like I said, you can purchase packs to install and get a better thing. So click on electric bass pick. I think that should, it'll do for what the purpose is. And if you have a MIDI keyboard, you can plug that in and use the keys to play the bass along. So let's just leave that, close that, close that. So now we have this new track here. Let's call this bass. You can move that up a bit above the drums, go to the start of the track, and then click on draw up here, draw in those 4 bars there, and zoom in a bit. And this one doesn't need a drum map. We want to see the keyboard because we're playing actual notes. So double click on those 4 bars we just drew, F2 to get rid of that console. And here we are, we have the keyboard. So this song is in the key of E. That's a bit too high to start with. Same with that one. So let's just start from there. So how does this start? Whoops. So we'll just launch straight into it. Let's not try to be too fancy. It is a demo after all. We can try follow the kick drum too. So it goes. Yep. And if you want to extend one of these notes that you draw in, you just click on draw, obviously, to draw them in, and then you can click on arrow and you can just drag them out as such. So let's hear that. Alright, so that's cool, and then we can duplicate that and just follow the chord progression. So it goes E, then D, then C, and G. So it'll sound like this. So that's the bass. It's getting a bit lost. That snare drum's pretty loud, I think. So highlight the drum track, click on Edit Instrument, and we want to select the snare select it, so the yellow boxes around it. Just turn it down a couple of dB, maybe 4 dB. Let's just hit space so we can hear it. So we turn down the snare just 5 dB, the kick about 3 dB, but overall bring the drums down anyway, so we can hear more of the bass. And then let's click on bass, we can bring that up anyway. The fader, F2 to go to the start of the track. So you can roughly hear it there in the mix. Duplicate that block because it's the same. Actually, to be honest, let's repeat all of that until when this sort of chorus kicks in. Okay, so that is where it oh, actually, my bad. Go back to the start. Don't forget your chord progression, because on the second round of this, it holds the C, it doesn't go to the G. So let me do a quick edit. There we go. And just duplicate that. That's on the C. So we do that, when does this chorus kick in? So that's where the chorus kicks in. Just quickly do the chorus chords. Okay, so let's say that that is all good. And now we have bass into the mix too. If you have purchased a VST, a virtual instrument, and you want to use that, but you've already programmed the bass in, maybe you've been waiting a couple of days or weeks to save up, You can still add that in, hit F11, add the VST instrument, APB, add track, and just wait for it to load. And then there you see this bass. It's just I got a better sound. So what we can do then is literally select these bass things that you've done. Oops. Select, copy, make sure you've got bass, call it bass 2 or whatever. Selected, Control V, it pastes onto there. So we can mute out that original bass and have an updated bass. Okay, so the notes are a lot lower in that one, but you get the idea. You can copy and paste the notes and just move around as required. So as you can see, it's a bit of fine tuning as you go along, and you want to keep an ear on levels too. So does everything sound like it's a good mix? It is a demo after all, but you know, it depends how perfectionist you can be. So once you're happy with your bass and the general blend of the guitar and drums, you probably can move on to some vocals now. So plug in your microphone and get singing. So I've gone ahead and laid down a main vocal track. It's only one track. When a chorus kicks in, you can always double up as well. So let's just have a listen to that vocal take just on its own, soloed out.
Stop moving, be where you have to.
So yeah, it sounds fine. If you want to get fancy, you can click on inserts. You can put a bit of compression on it. Find a preset that you can use. Same with EQ. You can play around with all of these, but it's for getting something out there quick and easy that is just for demo purposes and only your bandmates are going to hear it, then it's not too bad. Click on reverb, Roomworks, bit of this. Play around with the mixing of the sounds so it suits your needs. Let's have a listen now.
Stop moving, be where you have to.
So it sounds a little bit more tidy there. So when you are ready to export and you're happy with the levels of everything, your drums, your guitars, and all the effects that you've got on there. And meanwhile, you don't have to apply effects on there at all. If it's a demo, you just need an idea down, then just doing it raw like I have is definitely fine. Now click and drag these markers at the top here out to where the last track finishes, and put a fade out on your guitars if you want. So highlight your 2 guitars, and top right is where you'll find the fader for that. And then you're good to go. Go up to File, Export, Audio Mix Down, name it, one demo. Make sure it's going in the right place. You can save it as an MP3, a WAV file, or there's some other files there. Save it as an MP3, max bitrate, export. Then I've already saved it out as a test, but we will overwrite that nonetheless. Let Cubase do its thing, and it'll export. Then it's all yours to upload to SoundCloud or just to email to your bandmates. And that's all that's required to make a demo. So, and that's all that I do. I layer up tracks, I double up on vocals, add in some harmonies, maybe a few other guitar parts, and obviously synths, which we never got to, but if you've got a MIDI keyboard, plug it in and play around and have a bit of fun with it. And end of the day, that's what it's all about. Making music shouldn't be a tedious task, it should be a bit of fun. And when you go on and you have 30 stems or 30 different things that you've laid and mixed together yourself, you can make some pretty cool things. So go forth and have fun. If you found this video useful, send me a message, give me a comment, a like, even subscribe. I don't care what you do, but let me know if you want to see any more of this. In the meantime, I'm going to get back to making some music, and we'll see you later.